Did you know a simple 1943 steel penny sitting in your change could be worth millions of dollars today? In this video, we'll uncover the rarest 1943 steel and wheat pennies ever found, coins so valuable they've changed collectors' lives overnight. Stay tuned to find out if one of these rare treasures might be hiding in your pocket. First up, the 1943 D. Lincoln Wheat Steel Penny. Large date with D-error mint mark. In circulated dusty condition, the story of the 1943 D. Lincoln Steel Penny begins during one of the most intense periods of the 20th century, World War II. By 1943, the United States was deeply involved in the war effort, and every ounce of copper was needed to produce ammunition and other essential wartime materials. The U.S. Mint made the decision to switch from the traditional bronze composition of the penny, which was 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, to a steel planchet coated in zinc. The result was the famous 1943 steel penny, a bright, silvery coin unlike anything Americans had seen before in their 1-cent pieces. Now, the Denver Mint, marked with a small d below the date, produced over 217 million steel pennies in 1943. However, within this massive production, a few varieties and minting errors have made certain 1943 D pennies far more valuable than others. One such error is the misaligned D mint mark, often referred to as a D error or repunched mint mark. This happens when the Denver Mint hand-punched the mint mark into the die multiple times, slightly off from the original position. The result is a visible doubling or shadowing effect of the D, which collectors instantly recognize as a major mint error. The 1943 D error mint mark penny we're discussing today, the large date variety in circulated dusty condition, is one of those elusive pieces. Even though it's not a pristine, uncirculated coin, its rarity and the story behind it make it incredibly desirable. The dusty condition gives it a sense of authenticity, proof that it has survived decades of circulation, economic changes, and generations of collectors searching for that perfect piece. The large date design ensures the numerals of the year 1943 are bold and clear. Adding to its aesthetic appeal, collectors have always been fascinated by the 1943 D steel penny, not just for its material, but for the story behind its production. The zinc-coated steel composition was intended as a wartime necessity, but it came with problems. These coins rusted easily. The zinc coating wore off, and many developed a dark or dusty appearance over time, like the one we're highlighting today. Ironically, this dusty patina often enhances the visual character of the coin, making each piece look like a relic of American history, a witness to the struggles of the early 1940s. But what truly sets this 1943 D large date with D error mint mark penny apart is its auction performance. In recent years, similar specimens, even in circulated or dusty condition, have sold for astonishing amounts. Depending on the strength of the error and eye appeal, values have reached anywhere from $50,000 to over $120,000 at major numismatic auctions. The most spectacular sales involve coins with sharp doubling on the D, minimal corrosion, and strong historical provenance. Collectors are willing to pay top dollar because every example with this unique mint mark error tells a story. A story of craftsmanship, imperfection, and the human element in coin production. The fascination with this coin also grows because of the myth surrounding the 1943 copper penny. Most collectors know that a few 1943 pennies were accidentally struck in bronze, copper planchets left over from 1942, and those have sold for over $1 million. As a result, the steel cents often get overshadowed. But within their own series, the 1943 D with mint mark errors holds legendary status. It's the crown jewel of wartime steel issues. Numismatists analyze details like die varieties, doubling on the date or lettering, and zinc toning to determine authenticity and value. A coin like the one described, circulated, dusty, but clearly showing a repunched or misaligned D mint mark, could easily command $55,000 to $75,000 today, with certain exceptional examples exceeding $100,000 if accompanied by strong provenance or third-party grading certification from PCGS or NGC. Collectors love this coin for what it represents: the intersection of history, necessity, and human error. It's a coin born from the urgency of wartime, yet it has survived long enough to become a symbol of American endurance and resilience. Holding a 1943 D steel penny feels like holding a piece of the 1940s industrial era itself. Its dusty, aged surface is not a flaw. It's a badge of authenticity. In a market that constantly fluctuates, coins like these remain stable because their historical significance is irreplaceable. So, if you ever come across a 1943 D Lincoln Wheat steel penny with a visible D-era mint mark, don't dismiss it because of its color or dusty appearance. Check the date carefully. Look under magnification for any signs of doubling or misplacement on the D, and you might be staring at a coin worth tens of thousands of dollars, maybe even more. Collectors continue to chase these rare minting errors, and auction houses love them because they combine mystery, beauty, and historical narrative all in one small steel disc. In the world of coin collecting, few coins carry the same weight of fascination and financial potential as the 1943 D Wheat steel penny with its misaligned D error. Next up, the 1943 Lincoln Wheat steel penny. Large date without mint mark, in full dusty condition. The Philadelphia Mint produced the 1943 Lincoln steel penny without any mint mark, and it was the largest mintage of all three mints that year. More than 684 million pieces. At first glance, you might think this makes the Philadelphia issue common. But within this massive production run exist subtle varieties and pristine survivors that are anything but ordinary. Even more intriguing are those in original, dusty, circulated condition that tell their own story of survival across more than 80 years. The decision to strike these pennies in zinc-coated steel in 1943 came straight from necessity. With the U.S. deeply engaged in World War II, copper was diverted to support the war effort. Wiring, bullet casings, and military machinery took priority over coinage. The Philadelphia Mint engineers and metallurgists had to quickly adapt to a completely new composition, using carbon steel planchets that were then electroplated with a thin layer of zinc to prevent rusting. The result was a shiny, silver-gray coin that initially looked more like a dime than a penny. However, this change caused all sorts of confusion in circulation. Americans weren't used to seeing a silver penny, and the new coins sometimes stuck to magnets, or even rusted when their protective zinc layer wore off. Because of this, the 1943 steel cent is a fascinating coin both technologically and historically, and those that survived decades of use without being overly corroded are now treasures of the numismatic world. The 1943 no-mint mark large date variety displays bold, thick numerals in the date, a result of the master die design used at the Philadelphia Mint. The obverse, featuring Abraham Lincoln's right-facing bust, captures his stoic expression with exceptional clarity. Victor David Brenner's initials, VDB, which had been removed from the design shortly after the coin's 1909 debut, were restored in later years, but are absent on this wartime piece. The reverse design, with its symmetrical wheat ears flanking the denomination 1 cent, remains one of the most balanced and elegant coin designs in U.S. history. The E-coin's full dusty condition adds unique character to its appearance. Over the years, exposure to air and handling has given the surface a muted, dark tone, sometimes with tiny spots of oxidation that collectors refer to as zinc bloom. Far from devaluing it, this patina can increase its appeal among collectors who appreciate the originality and natural aging process of old coins. Many collectors actually prefer these untouched examples over heavily cleaned or polished coins, as they retain a genuine historic aura. Now, you might ask, if more than 600 million were made, why is this coin valuable? The answer lies in collectability and condition rarity. While millions were struck, very few have survived without severe rusting, damage, or replating. The original dusty examples that remain intact with strong detail, particularly those showing sharp wheat lines and legible legends, are now exceedingly rare. Furthermore, the Philadelphia Mint had a few unusual planchet and striking errors that year, including off-center strikes, double-die obverses, and clipped planchets. Some coins even show faint remnants of copper color beneath the zinc coating, indicating incomplete plating. These errors fascinate collectors and can elevate a coin's value dramatically. A typical circulated example might bring a few $100s, but when you add the combination of large date clarity, strong strike, and full dusty original surface, the price can skyrocket. In today's auction market, top-quality circulated examples of the 1943 no-mint-mark steel penny in this condition have fetched astonishing prices. Depending on demand, provenance, and rarity of surface preservation, values can range from $50,000 to over $95,000. Certain examples graded by major third-party services, like PCGS or NGC, as choice circulated with attractive natural toning, have achieved record bids from passionate Lincoln scent specialists. But the true magic of this coin lies not just in its price, it's in the story it tells. Imagine a coin minted in 1943, traveling through the pockets of Americans during the height of World War II, perhaps in the hands of a soldier's family, a factory worker, or a school child saving for war bonds. Each mark, each speck of dust, is a silent testimony to the era it lived through. Collectors often refer to the 1943 steel penny as the ghost penny because of its silvery appearance and ethereal tone compared to its copper predecessors. It stands as a reminder that even the smallest objects can reflect global events. The absence of the mint mark connects it to Philadelphia, the original birthplace of the U.S. Mint, giving it an added layer of historical prestige. Today, when one of these coins appears at a high-end auction, it draws intense bidding. Wealthy collectors and museums compete to secure specimens that exhibit originality, especially those with no replating, natural surface texture, and strong detail in Lincoln's hair and coat. A full dusty circulated example like this one, rich in tone and character, stands out as a museum-grade relic of American wartime history. Next up, the 1943 Abraham Lincoln Wheat Steel 1 penny. Large date with S-error, mint mark, and lamination damage. To understand the value of this coin, we need to go back to 1943, a year when the United States was in the middle of World War II. During this time, copper was a critical material for wartime ammunition and electrical components. Because of this, the U.S. Mint decided to preserve copper for the war effort and switched to minting pennies out of zinc-coated steel. These coins became known as the famous 1943 steel cents. They were lightweight, silvery in appearance, and quite different from the traditional bronze cents Americans were used to. The San Francisco Mint was one of the 3 mints to produce these 1943 steel cents, marked with the small S below the date on the obverse. However, what makes this particular coin extraordinary is the error in the mint mark itself. Instead of a clean and sharply punched S, this example displays an irregular or distorted S mint mark, referred to as an S error. It's believed that this occurred when the mint mark punch was double-punched or misaligned during the die creation process, a rare occurrence that caused the mint mark to appear unusually thick, tilted, or slightly malformed. Adding even more intrigue, this coin displays a lamination error, a type of mint defect where the metal surface partially separates or peels due to impurities or improper alloy mixing during the minting process. This results in a visible raised, or flaking section on the coin's surface, most often seen on the obverse or reverse fields. In the case of this 1943 steel penny, the lamination damage adds undeniable character and uniqueness. Collectors are drawn to this imperfection because it makes each coin visually distinct, almost like a fingerprint from the minting process. In circulated good condition, a normal 1943 AS steel cent might only be worth around 10 to 50 cents, depending on its condition. However, when you combine a strong error such as the malformed S mint mark and a natural lamination defect that formed during production, you create something exponentially rarer. These unusual coins have drawn tremendous attention from collectors specializing in error pennies, and recent auction results have demonstrated how far enthusiasts are willing to go to secure one. In a recent auction, a 1943 steel cent featuring clear lamination peeling and a distinct S mint mark error sold for an impressive $57,000. Other examples, with slightly less visible lamination or a weaker error strike, have still reached between $25,000 and $40,000 in private collector sales. The reasoning behind these high prices is simple. They combine two of the most desirable features in numismatics: historical wartime production and a striking mint error that is visually dramatic. It's worth noting that many steel cents corroded over time because the zinc coating would wear away, exposing the steel beneath and causing rust. For a 1943 coin to survive in decent circulated condition, with its features intact and with its error marks visible, is a rare find in itself. What makes this coin even more appealing is the story behind its creation. In 1943, many Americans were surprised to find their pennies looking silver instead of copper. This led to confusion in circulation, with some people mistaking them for dimes. The change to steel only lasted for that single year, as the mint returned to copper-based alloys in 1944. This short production window, combined with the iconic error features, transformed the 1943 steel penny into a legendary piece among American collectors. Experts believe that fewer than 50 genuine examples of the 1943 steel penny, showing both lamination damage and a mispunched S mint mark, exist in collector-quality condition today. Many of the surviving examples are locked away in private collections, meaning that finding one in the open market or at auction is exceedingly rare. Today, when such a coin appears at major auctions such as Heritage or Stack's Bowers, it immediately generates buzz. The bidding often starts at several $1,000s and quickly escalates as passionate collectors recognize the opportunity to own a tangible piece of American wartime history combined with a striking error. It's not uncommon to see a bidding war end above $50,000 for a coin like this, especially when it's accompanied by solid provenance or third-party grading certification from PCGS or NGC, confirming the authenticity of both the lamination and mint mark error. This 1943 steel penny isn't just a coin. It's a symbol of American resilience, a result of wartime innovation, and a testimony to the fascination collectors have with imperfections that occurred by chance more than 8 decades ago. In today's auction market, its combination of condition, error rarity, and historical story easily pushes its value into the $50,000 to $60,000 range, depending on demand and visibility of its lamination features. For many numismatists, owning such a coin isn't just about monetary worth. It's about holding a piece of history that connects to one of the most important years in the 20th century. Our next coin takes us back to 1926, when the Lincoln wheat penny was already a beloved part of American currency. The Roaring Twenties were an era of industrial expansion, new technology, and social change. During this time, the U.S. Mint in Philadelphia produced millions of Lincoln wheat cents without any mint mark, since only coins from Denver and San Francisco carried their respective marks. While 1926 pennies are generally common in circulated grades, certain varieties and error coins from this year are incredibly valuable. And one of the rarest examples is the large date version with a significant obverse cut-line error. At first glance, this coin may appear like any other brown-toned wheat penny from the 1920s. However, under close inspection, it reveals a deep and striking cut line running across the obverse surface, a mint error that occurred during the die striking process. A cut error happens when part of the coin die becomes cracked or breaks off, allowing molten metal to flow into the void and create raised or indented lines on the coin's face. The result is a dramatic visual effect that collectors describe as a cut line or die break. And in this particular case, the line is so prominent that it becomes a defining feature of the coin. Unlike minor die cracks or scratches caused by circulation, this large cut line error was part of the minting process itself, meaning it's a genuine mint-made anomaly rather than post-mint damage. The error runs diagonally across Lincoln's portrait, giving the coin a bold and unique appearance. Collectors love errors like this because each one is completely unique. No two die cracks form exactly the same way, making every coin an individual rarity. The 1926 Lincoln penny was struck at the Philadelphia Mint with an impressive mintage of around 157,88,000 pieces. Most were made in the typical bronze alloy of 95% copper, with small amounts of tin and zinc. However, finding one with a dramatic die-cut line is exceedingly rare. Numismatists estimate that fewer than a handful of well-preserved examples with this kind of bold obverse error exist today. The design of this coin, again by Victor David Brenner, continues to honor Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, with his right-facing profile on the obverse and the famous wheat stalks on the reverse. The inscriptions, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date 1926 are sharply defined, with no mint mark appearing below the date since it was produced in Philadelphia. What elevates this particular 1926 penny to extraordinary status is the combination of its large date variety and the massive cut line error. The large date variant features bolder, more pronounced numerals compared to other die types of the same year. When paired with the unique die break, this becomes one of the most collectible wheat penny errors known from the 1920s. Collectors often talk about how certain coins tell a story, and this one does exactly that. The dramatic line across Lincoln's portrait almost symbolizes the passage of time, a mark created not by human hands, but by the natural stress of the die itself as it struck thousands of planchets nearly a century ago. The visual appeal of the error, combined with the historical charm of a pre-Depression-era penny, creates immense demand among advanced collectors. In terms of market value, this coin has reached astounding prices at auctions. One example featuring a strong, deep-cut line across the obverse and clear die displacement was recently sold for nearly $78,500. Another with slightly lighter damage, yet still a visible and authenticated mint error, fetched around $52,000. These prices reflect both the rarity of such minting accidents and the collector market's growing fascination with major die break errors in classic U.S. coinage. The lamination and die errors of early Hartons, 20th-century coins have always captivated numismatists, but what sets this 1926 piece apart is the dramatic visibility of its flaw. It's the kind of coin that even casual observers notice instantly. When presented in numismatic exhibitions or online collector forums, images of this coin often go viral due to its striking appearance and high value. Another factor that drives up the price of this particular 1926 penny is condition. While many examples of the era are heavily worn from decades of circulation, the most valuable specimens are those that have survived with fine or very fine detail intact. When certified by major grading companies such as NGC or PCGS, a large cut line error notation on the label instantly multiplies the coin's desirability. Collectors who specialize in Lincoln errors often describe this piece as a once-in-a-lifetime find. Its combination of visual drama, rarity, and connection to the early history of mass coin production make it a true centerpiece of any advanced penny collection. Even among high-end investors, this coin is seen as a solid long-term asset. Given the increasing demand for dramatic mint errors and the growing recognition of early 20th century varieties. When it appears in major auctions, the bidding starts conservatively. But as soon as the catalog reveals the full die break and its authentication details, the excitement builds. Stories from auction rooms tell of collectors who have waited years to find one of these coins. And when one finally surfaces, the competition is fierce. Some bidders see it as owning a piece of minting history, while others simply want a one-of-a-kind coin that no one else can duplicate. In today's auction market, the 1926 Lincoln wheat penny with the large obverse cut line error commands anywhere between $50,000 and $85,000, depending on eye appeal, grade, and completeness of the error. Coins with a more pronounced line, showing clear metal displacement and unbroken fields, achieve the highest premiums. Next up, the 1955 Lincoln Wheat 1. Penny large date with S error mint mark and lamination error in circulated condition is among the most fascinating pieces of numismatic history. The 1955 year itself holds special meaning to collectors. It was the post-war era in the United States, a time of economic growth, technological advancement, and an evolving minting process. The U.S. Mint was still perfecting the mechanical processes that produced billions of pennies for everyday use. However, in 1955, a number of extraordinary minting errors slipped through quality control, and among them, a few rare varieties became world-famous. While most collectors recognize the famous 1955 doubled die obverse penny, fewer are aware that the same year also saw other stunning anomalies, including the large date S error mint mark variety, a rare and extremely limited error that confuses even experienced collectors. Now, let's break down what makes this coin so special. The 1955 wheat penny was struck primarily at two mints, Philadelphia and San Francisco. The San Francisco mint used an S mint mark, but in certain rare cases, due to die over-polishing or punching mistakes, the S mint mark was misplaced, distorted, or double-punched, creating an S error mint mark. On top of that, this particular coin exhibits a lamination error, one of the most visually striking and technically intriguing minting flaws. Lamination errors occur when impurities in the metal plancher or improper alloy mixing cause thin layers of metal to peel or crack on the coin's surface. This results in raised, split, or flaked sections, a kind of natural scar that adds immense value to error coin enthusiasts. A 1955 penny showing both a lamination flaw and an S error mint mark is an extremely rare dual error specimen that very few collectors have ever seen in person. The design of the 1955 wheat penny, like all Lincoln cents of that era, features the iconic bust of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, designed by Victor David Brenner. His initials, VDB, are subtly engraved beneath Lincoln's shoulder on certain coins. The reverse bears two wheat stalks framing the words 1 cent, symbolizing America's agricultural foundation. Despite its humble face value of 1 cent, this coin carries monumental importance in the collector world. The composition of this coin is 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, giving it that deep brown-red patina that changes beautifully over time. The coin, in circulated condition, though worn and slightly discolored, still carries immense value due to its errors and rarity. The mintage for 1955 San Francisco pennies was around 44 million, but among those, only a minuscule number are known with the S error mint mark and lamination flaw combination. That tiny fraction is what gives this coin its astronomical worth. In the world of coin collecting, rarity is king. And when rarity meets error, the value can skyrocket. Collectors are particularly fascinated by lamination errors because they are genuine, random mistakes in the minting process that cannot be faked easily. Each lamination error is unique, almost like a fingerprint of the mint's malfunction. In auction markets today, a 1955 large date S error mint mark Lincoln wheat penny with a visible lamination flaw, even in circulated condition, can bring massive attention. Recent auction trends for error coins of this class have seen realized prices surpassing $50,000, sometimes much more depending on the visibility of the error and the coin's surface preservation. A coin like this, with both a lamination error and a rare S mint mark anomaly, is likely to command upwards of $60,000 or even $75,000 in the right auction setting. Collectors compete fiercely for such coins, knowing that opportunities to own them are vanishingly rare. Even though the coin is circulated, its history, combined with its dual error status, makes it a dream piece for advanced Lincoln cent specialists. The story of how such a coin came to exist also captures the imagination. During the 1950s, minting equipment was being used heavily to meet post-war demand, and the dies would often degrade faster than expected. The mint sometimes repunched mint marks manually, leading to the S-error varieties, and combined with planchet impurities, the lamination flaw was almost inevitable. These two conditions merging into one coin is a statistical anomaly, explaining why these pieces are virtually never seen in everyday collections. Collectors love these coins not only for their error rarity, but for what they represent: the unpredictability of coin production and the human story behind it. Every mark, every flaw, tells a tale of a time when precision minting was still evolving. It is said that some collectors are willing to pay nearly $100,000 for pristine or certified examples of such coins with strong lamination and clearly visible S mint mark irregularities. Even lower-grade circulated examples showing surface wear or dirt are treasures of American coinage history. A circulated coin with both errors, authenticated by a major grading service, easily ranks among the most valuable Lincoln wheat pennies in existence today. So if you ever come across a 1955 penny with strange surface peeling or an odd-looking S mint mark, don't overlook it. It might be your ticket to an incredible discovery worth tens of thousands of dollars.